First, let me ask you something about home. Not the house you live in, not the apartment you rent. I'm talking about the place you return to every night inside your own mind. The quiet space where your excuses live. The room where your dreams sit on the shelf collecting dust. The place where you promise yourself one day, but never choose today. Stay with me, because this story is about that home, the one you carry inside you. Daniel was 22 years old, living in Chicago. His apartment was small but decent. A couch, a television, a bed in the corner, a kitchen with just enough space to cook cheap meals. From the outside, nothing looked wrong. He had a job at a warehouse, he paid his rent on time, he wasn't in debt, he wasn't starving. But every night when he came home, something felt heavy. He would drop his keys on the table, take off his boots, sit on the edge of his bed and stare at the wall for a few seconds before picking up his phone. Then hours would disappear. Social media, videos, other people's success, other people's vacations, other people's lives. And every night before sleeping, he whispered the same sentence in his head. One day, my life will change. But nothing ever did. One winter evening, after a 10-hour shift, Daniel missed the last bus home. Snow covered the streets. The wind cut through his jacket. His phone battery died. No music, no distraction, just silence and cold air. He had to walk nearly 3 miles. At first, he was angry. Angry at the bus, angry at the weather, angry at his job, angry at life. Halfway through the walk, exhausted, he saw an old man sitting on a bench outside a closed coffee shop. Snow rested on the man's shoulders, but he didn't seem bothered. He looked calm, peaceful, almost like he belonged there. Daniel hesitated, but sat down for a moment to rest. The old man glanced at him and asked, "Long day?" Daniel let out a tired laugh. "Long life." The old man smiled slightly and said something that would echo in Daniel's mind for years. "Are you tired because you're working hard or because you're not moving forward?" Daniel didn't answer immediately. The question felt different. It wasn't blaming, it wasn't judging, it was honest. He realized something uncomfortable. He wasn't tired from chasing dreams. He was tired from avoiding them. The old man continued, "Most people aren't exhausted from progress. They're exhausted from repetition. Same habits, same excuses, same comfort zone." Snow kept falling. Cars passed slowly in the distance. Daniel felt something inside him crack open. The old man leaned back and said quietly, "Your life doesn't change when the year changes. It changes when your standards change." That sentence hit harder than the cold wind. Daniel thought about his daily routine. Wake up, work, scroll, sleep, repeat. He had dreams once, starting his own business, getting in shape, learning new skills. But every time he thought about starting, he also thought about how hard it would be, so he chose comfort instead. Before standing up to leave, the old man said one final thing. "Home isn't where you sleep. Home is where your discipline lives. If you don't build discipline, you'll always feel homeless in your own life." And then he walked away into the snowy street. Daniel sat there for another 5 minutes. The bench felt colder now, but his mind felt awake. That night, when he finally reached his apartment, something felt different. The room looked the same. The couch was still there. The TV was still on the stand, but the energy was different. He looked around and realized this place wasn't the problem. His habits were. Instead of turning on the TV, he opened a notebook that had been sitting untouched in a drawer. He wrote one question at the top of the page. What would my life look like if I actually tried? He didn't have a perfect plan. He didn't suddenly become motivated, but he made one decision. Tomorrow, he would wake up 1 hour earlier. That's it. The next morning, the alarm rang at 5:30 a.m. His body wanted to quit. His mind whispered, "Start next week." But he remembered the bench, the snow, the question. Are you tired because you're working hard or because you're not moving forward? He got up. That first morning, he didn't change the world. He didn't build a company. He didn't transform his body. He simply sat at his kitchen table and watched free online tutorials about digital skills he had once been curious about. 30 minutes, then an hour. The next day, he did it again. The first week felt small, invisible. No one noticed, no one applauded, but something inside him felt stable. For the first time in years, he wasn't just surviving his routine, he was building something. Weeks turned into months. He started going to the gym after work instead of scrolling. He replaced 1 hour of social media with 1 hour of learning. He saved money instead of spending it on things that impressed no one but his insecurity. There were setbacks, days when he overslept, days when he doubted himself, days when progress felt slow, but he didn't quit. Because this time, it wasn't about motivation, it was about standards. 1 year later, Daniel was still living in Chicago, still in the same apartment, but he wasn't the same person. He had built a freelance skill online that was starting to pay consistently. His body was stronger, his mind was calmer. His confidence wasn't loud, it was quiet and steady. And the most powerful change? He no longer said, "One day my life will change." He said, "I am changing my life." The old man was right. Your life doesn't change when the calendar flips, it changes when your standards rise, when your daily actions reflect your future, not your comfort. So here's the truth. You don't need a new city. You don't need a perfect opportunity. You don't need permission. You need to rebuild your inner home, the place where discipline lives, the place where excuses are no longer welcome, the place where one day becomes day one. Maybe this story isn't about Daniel. Maybe it's about you. And maybe tonight, when you return home, not to your house, but to your habits, you'll ask yourself the same question. Are you tired because you're working hard or because you're not moving forward? If you change the answer, you change your life. And that's how one story becomes the turning point.